Good evening, my name is Kacper Paradowski and you are watching Poland Daily News. Justice Minister and Polish Prosecutor General Zbigniew Ziobro has clearly indicated that making the names and addresses of policemen public is a crime. The politician instructed the Warsaw District Prosecutor's Office to initiate proceedings in cases of such breaches. Their decision comes in the wake of pro-abortion protests across the country.
Subsequent protests related to last month's ruling of the Constitutional Court on the anti-abortion regulations were held on Wednesday in Warsaw. Police officers used telescopic batons and pepper spray. On Thursday and Friday, the images and data of police officers who took part in securing the demonstrations during the illegal women's strike were published in social media. The Member of Parliament seen in the video, after obtaining the name of the policeman, passes it on to the protesters. The officer's wife has already started to receive hateful messages on her private Facebook profile. Beautiful manipulation of the police. Why did you omit the part that happened before and the reason why I asked you for the officer's name? Fortunately, TVN24 recorded it, while I managed to record the rest. Your officer hit and pushed a girl over a moment earlier. I demand an apology, and if you won't make one, we'll meet in court. The Minister of Justice Zbigniew Ziobro is initiating criminal proceedings. The General Prosecutor also assures that guaranteeing police safety is crucial. The Polish state has a duty to protect the police. That is why I instructed the District Prosecutor's Office in Warsaw to initiate criminal proceedings against all persons who made the names and addresses of the officers public. Freedom is responsibility. On Friday, a spokesman for the Polish Police Headquarters, Inspector Mariusz Cierka, assured that the police acts transparently and always emphasizes that anyone who feels wronged has the right to lodge a complaint or notice to the prosecutor's office. This is the right of every citizen.
Pauline Fathers from Nagura, who recovered from COVID-19, engaged in an initiative of donating their plasma. The press office of the sanctuary announced the news on social media. The monks donated their plasma in Katowice. The coronavirus antibodies inside them are to block the spread of the pathogen in infected patients.
Quite recently, in the end of October, several dozen Pauline Fathers were infected with COVID-19. Some of us went through it with ease, others had more problems. One of our fathers is still in the hospital. Everyone reacts differently. Christ teaches us to share. He teaches us to be good to others. We wanted to help others, not only with our words, but also lead by example with our actions. We also encourage everyone to donate plasma. I was met with much warmth and kindness from everyone at the donation center, even though you could see their tiredness. They told us they need people donating their blood and plasma. Let's help others.
On Saturday, several hundred supporters of US President Donald Trump gathered in front of the state government's headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia, to protest against the alleged election theft following Georgia's approval of Joe Biden's victory in this state.
On the recordings, speakers can be heard condemning the media for naming Joe Biden the winner of the presidential election, as well as some Republicans, including the governor of Georgia, Brian Kemp, for confirming the results. The American media, including the Breitbart service, reports that supporters of President Trump were shouting, "Stop the theft" and "Shame on you." The protest came after the announcement on the website of Georgia's Secretary Brad Raffensperger on Friday that Joe Biden's victory in the state had been approved. Early on Thursday, Biden's victory was announced by the Georgian state authorities after a recounting of the votes by hand. According to CNN, President Trump's staff tried to block the official approval of the election results. Biden's victory in Georgia is one of the biggest surprises of this year's election. A Democrat has not triumphed there in the presidential elections since 1992. However, the results from Georgia were not decisive in the context of the battle for the White House.
Massive street protests are taking place in France against the security bill proposed by President Emmanuel Macron. According to the new law, people who publish photos or videos on which the faces of police officers can be seen will risk a jail sentence. The new bill is particularly controversial following last year's Yellow Vest protests, during which hundreds of protesters were injured due to what the French opposition has described as police brutality.
The French Parliament is working on a draft bill regarding two controversial provisions. The first provision, the so-called Article 24, bans videotaping police officers when they carry out their duties. This provision was adopted by the French Parliament a few hours ago. The second provision, which is to be voted on by the Parliament, states that only people who have a press badge can videotape police officers. These two provisions, which are to come into force, aroused a lot of controversy. According to the media, these provisions are just a pretext for the government to build a police state. Last Friday, a special tribune was published, which was signed by the majority of media representatives. The purpose of the tribune was to force the French government to remove these provisions. Despite the fact that the French authorities claim that these provisions will not affect the freedom of speech in France in any way, they seem to insist on adapting them. Most of the media do not believe their words and decided to take to the streets to protest against the government's decision. The protest, during which the participants clashed with the police, took place yesterday in Paris, with the participation of several thousands of people.
That's all for tonight. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for Poland Daily Business. Good night.